I always look forward to this
Mm.
every single year. I remember my missus complaining the other day. She goes, "My vagina keeps on yelling out Queenslander." I told her, "Don't worry about it. Every cunt yells out Queenslander at this time of the year." It's just one of those things. So I think it's something we're all looking forward to.
Bring her on. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Actually, yeah. I'm sure everyone would want to see that on YouTube. I think we'd actually be pulled off the air, pardon the pun,
Think we
Yeah.
or
will be
puns
pulled up there if
intended.
you did that.
Red hot underdogs rising tonight. Abs acting true, we bringing the fight. Talk about the game ain't just one side. Whistles blowing, sirens loud wide. Energy pumping, scheming plot. Nothing too small, nothing forgot. Boxing gloves and footy kicks. Sport and
Three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Anzac, and we are the Red Hot Underdogs. With me tonight is the always, the ever incredible, long contained, never imitated. Wait, what? Something imitated? Yeah, often imitated but never duplicated. The genie of the lamp. Put your hands together for
Yay,
Wenton.
yay, thank you.
Hey, hip hip hooray for Wenton.
How are you, Drew?
Yeah, good thanks, buddy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast that is not only a welcome to country, but a great big welcome to Origin. It's that time of year. Yes, game one is upon us. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, Drew, how do you think we'll go?
Oh, mate, I've actually got New South Wales winning this one by roughly 8 points. I think it'll be close. And I'm going to have Angus Crichton as man of the match. So there you go. Early tips from the man in blue.
Okay.
Well, I've got a tip as well.
All right. Let's hear it.
Nathan Cleary.
Okay.
Oh, very good. And I've
Nathan
actually got
Cleary.
one other tip. My other tip is don't put your hand in a lawnmower, but that's the story for another day. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nathan Cleary, and I've got two actually. Nathan Cleary and Mitchell Moses.
Oh, wow. They can't both have man of the match, though.
But I think that's where we can win it.
Maybe they just cut the check halfway down the middle if they both get man of the match. That'd be fun.
Yes, that will be fun. But we'll see. I think it'll be a fast open game. Let's hope so. Let's hope the referee puts the whistle away and let the game flow.
Yeah, well, they've actually got Mitchell Moses and Cleary in as big kickers, and that was the main motivation for having them in, actually booting it way up the field and bogging down Queensland in their own end. I think it will work. A lot of people largely were a bit miffed that maybe Luai missed out, but I think by and large people aren't too unhappy with Moses and Cleary as a combination. I actually think it'll work. What are your
I
thoughts,
think
Julian?
I think
Well,
I think it will work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you go through the teams? Is that okay, Drewy? Like, just take
Yeah.
us through the teams, take us through New South Wales and Queensland, and what's changed from last year to this year, and why you think New South Wales will win.
Okay, well, New South Wales team is Edwards, Toto, Crichton, Mitchell, Lomax, Moses Cleary, Barnett, Robson, Haas, Martin, Crichton, Yo, and on the benches Watson, Leniu, Young, and King. And as for Queensland, their team is Ponga, Coates, Toya, Tabuai, Fidow, Holmes, Munster, Cherry Evans, Fodawaker, Grant, Fasula Mother Aoi, Cotter Nanai, Carrigan. On the bench is Dearden, Collins, Fermor, and Liero.
Because you did that quick,
Yeah. But
in one breath.
yeah, well, I don't want to get stuck when I'm trying to read it, but
Yeah.
both sides very, very strong. I like Queensland in the halves. I think both sets of halves cancel each other out. I think New South Wales is extremely fundamentally solid, but I think Queensland's one might have a slight more of an X factor about as far as Munster and Cherry Evans is concerned.
And what
What
about
about
the
what about
debutants?
what
Who are
about
the
the four,
Sorry, who's going? You go, Wenton.
the Drew? What about the four pack?
forward pack?
Oh, look, I actually like New South Wales's forward pack, but I don't mind Queensland's forward pack. Queensland's forward pack are a little bit more mobile, but ours are quite large and can put quite a beating on teams. So I don't think Queensland had particularly huge forwards at their disposal physically when you put it in terms of going up against New South Wales, but they do have a slight advantage as far as mobility is concerned. But I think both forward packs, without trying to sit on the fence, kind of cancel each other out a little bit too. So it'd
So
be a
that
humdinger of a game.
Queensland have smaller forwards. Is that what you just said?
Just slightly, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Now, and New South Wales forwards are bigger.
Yeah, but bigger isn't always better. Sometimes it's just how you play the game or who executes better on the night,
And what
as
about
we've seen many times before.
changes from last year and also debutants? Who's new? Because I understand like New South Wales has just one and Queensland's got a few, or what's the story there?
Yeah, well, Queensland have Robert Toyer on the wing, and he actually has only played 10 NRL games.
Yeah, wow. And how did that
So
happen?
But he,
he
but
kind of did a bit of a Stephen Bradbury. So I think Selwyn Cobbo was out from memory, and then so was Murray Tuolangi, and he had two people out in front of him, and then just got the gig because it was like a lack of numbers and
Yeah.
quality to fill in that spot. So he kind of got it via default, but he is a bit of a talent to go with it. But whether he can step up to the big stage at this early is a little bit of a concern, but there's still some hope. So who knows? Hmm.
what about the goal kicking?
Yeah.
The goal kicking. I would say that we've maybe going with Edwards for our goal kick. Oh, Moses. We've got a few. We've got a couple to choose from. We've actually got Cleary, Moses, Lomax, and Edwards are all viable options for kicking for New South Wales. So I don't know exactly who they're going to go for there. I think for Queensland it'll probably be Tonga.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But it'll be good. And I always look forward to this
Mm.
every single year. I remember my missus complaining the other day. She goes, "My vagina keeps on yelling out Queenslander." I told her, "Don't worry about it. Every cunt yells out Queenslander at this time of the year." It's just one of those things. So I think it's something we're all looking forward to.
Bring her on. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Actually, yeah. I'm sure everyone would want to see that on YouTube. I think we'd actually be pulled off the air, pardon the
I
pun,
think we
Yeah.
or
will be
puns
pulled up there if
intended.
you did that.
Yeah, oh, mate, it'd be all hell to pay. But
Oh,
and then
God.
there's
Yeah.
there's also the battle of the coaches, which is
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Tell us about the coaches.
They're two changes from last year. So
Yeah.
obviously last year Slater
Yeah.
and this year Daly for New South Wales. Now, last year
Last year we
Slater
had
kind of got
Madden.
out coached by Madge Maguire. So he'll be kind of glad that Madge Maguire has left, but Maguire's finding it difficult in the NRL ranks. So maybe he should have stayed where he was in that cozy little position, which is state of origin.
Mm.
Yeah, well, I agree. I
Yeah,
totally agree.
yeah. So
I
that'll be interesting.
totally agree. But we'll see how Laurie goes.
Yeah, it's actually Laurie's second time around. He has done it before. He was actually the person that broke the drought for Queensland's 8 in a row. So that
Yeah.
was a very unfortunate time in my life because I absolutely can't stand Queensland. No
Neither,
secret there.
neither can I.
Yeah. And Laurie Daly unfortunately got sacked because I think he lost two series after that, and
Yeah.
New South Wales felt as though they needed a change. Queensland dominated as per usual. I think Daly was a bit hard done by the first time because he did break that drought, and Queensland still had those once in a generation players whereby they pretty much run itself. As I mentioned last week, Mal Meninga back in the day was in charge of that, and he could pretty much have a cornetto, some twisties, and a coke on the sideline and just let it take care of itself. So.
He and Chris Close looked after Queensland.
Yeah, yeah. Look, blind Freddie, Stevie Wonder could have coached Queensland back in the day. The stars actually spoke for themselves back then. New South Wales were on a great big hiding to nothing, and for 8 straight years, Queensland disposed of us like a dirty nappy. But this is a new day, this is a new age, and New South Wales are looking to go back to back.
Mm.
Talking of state of origin, what about the women?
Yeah, the women have actually won the series 2-0. So we actually haven't covered the women. So,
Yeah.
men, if you want to take notes before the rugby league, look at the nuances and look at the skill set of the women. You might be able to learn a thing or two.
What do you reckon, Wenton? Have you watched the women's rugby league?
I watched the I watched the second one.
And
Yeah,
was it
yeah.
good? Wasn't it a
Yeah,
threat?
it was. It was played in a lot of rain, but our girls,
Mm.
our girls did all right. This Thursday, they'll have the Queensland one have Tamika Upton.
Yeah,
Now
I
that'll be
enjoyed watching the women. I particularly enjoyed watching the hookers in the wet. It was highly entertaining. So, very good. There's only room on this podcast for one misogynist, and they're wearing blue. If you don't like it, my favorite saying, relax yourself, because the
Yeah.
truth doesn't care about your feelings.
Come to think of it, Drew. Um, the last time we had Wenton on, can you remember Wenton? You came on. We were talking about the tennis player. What's his name? That bashed his ex
Oh,
missus.
Zverev, I think it
Zverev.
was. I
Yeah,
hope we got the right guy.
and
Yes.
and we weren't talking positively about him. We were like, it
no,
seems a bit
no,
too
we
much.
weren't.
People don't talk about him, Wenton, and we were talking like not saying it's good that he does it. We were saying, he's a tool, but he does it. And
Yeah.
we got comments from I'm not going to say who. You guys are misogynistic, sexists for talking, for just saying some guy's a woman basher. We didn't like that.
Oh,
No, we
we
don't
were,
agree with that. You know.
it was Tony Jones, the reporter on Channel 9. He said it.
Yeah, you know what though? Outrage is a national sport, probably our number one national sport.
Yeah.
People will get outraged if we pass wind in the wrong direction. Let's face it, Australia are a bunch of whingers, but that's okay. Let them whinge. Let us have our opinion. Relax yourself and play on. That's what I
Yeah,
say.
and I like to say I like to keep it simple, and
Yeah.
I love women. I do.
Mm.
I really
Yeah.
love women, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, women's sport sucks.
Oh, mate, I'm still appreciating the nuances from the women's game. Just the passing, particularly the ball skills. They were really on show that night. Absolutely
Hey,
amazing.
Jules,
So,
Jules doesn't like women's netball.
No,
He doesn't like he doesn't like women at all.
no, I do. Look, Wenton, I love tennis and I love
Yeah,
women in tennis, um,
yeah.
but that's it. Sorry, mate.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do
You
know
don't
that
like
in the
you don't like
bedroom, I've actually thrown on the goal attack bib a few times, but unfortunately, the missus throws on the goal defense bib. So we ain't getting much play in the netball bedroom department. In fact, I think she's almost a nun. None tonight, none tomorrow, and none the next day.
No, but let's be honest, like we'll get off this topic, but
Yes.
what is the best sport that women are in? And it is tennis. Yes.
Oh, easily, easily. You know, it is funny you mention the media and people's comments because there were two players in the New South Wales squad getting back onto Origin this week who actually had media bans in the lead up to the game, which was Spencer Leniu and Latrell Mitchell. And it's actually caused a bit of controversy with the media because the media are now saying, hey, it's Origin. You've got to give a voice to the game, you've got to hype it up, you've got to promote it. And then there's the other school of thought whereby people are like, they're professional athletes. If that's the best for their preparation, then let them do what they want to do. What are your thoughts?
I don't get it. Can you repeat what did you get that, Wenton? You said that Mitchell, Latrell Mitchell, what did he
And
didn't
and
talk or
Spencer, they said they're not going to talk to the media
okay, all right.
in the
Well,
lead up to the game.
and was that an issue?
Okay.
Yeah, with the media it seemed to be.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
you know, my sort of thought about this is that you got plenty of other players to talk to.
Yeah.
Just talk to them. Talk to the other coaches.
Well, I mean, it is part of the game and part of the contract. Like after a match,
Yeah.
you do have the coaches that have to speak to the media, and some of them you just, they just don't want to. And you can see like what the Wayne Bennett's that are just sitting there and they're like, they just, you know,
Yeah.
do not want to answer anything. But the fans
Yeah.
watching that and want to see it. I like watching that. And some are more interesting than the game. Like you get a good Ricky Stewart interview.
Yeah.
You can't get better than that, you know. Um, but
Yes,
we're not
Hasler's just
talking now, are we?
entertaining accidentally.
We're
Yeah.
talking about players before a match that are being ridiculed because they don't want to talk about it. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool. It's their choice, you know.
Yeah, I think it's their choice, and I don't think it should be bestowed upon them to do that because I think there are enough other players there, there are enough other coaches. I
Yeah.
get it that they're more headline grabbers, Lenu and Latrell Mitchell, than
Well,
other
yeah.
players, so that's where the issue comes in, and I think it's a bit of a media beat up because there hasn't been a great deal of promotion for this Origin. Let's be honest. And there haven't been too many stories. So sometimes I think it's a case of making a story for the sake of it, just to
Yeah.
drum up something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I feel as though it's been like a bit of a ripple in the water. There hasn't been a tidal wave of promotion about this Origin. I don't feel.
Mm,
Or too
Hmm.
many storylines anyway.
mm. I don't know. Uh,
I agree.
Yeah. But my other issue is annoying New South Wales supporters, people who are born in New South Wales that actually go for Queensland.
mm. Well,
Julian, the puppet master over there, you are one of them.
I am. But I explained this last year and I don't want to go into it again.
No,
There's a couple of reasons why. Number one, Wenton, when I was a little kid, I couldn't tell the difference between Manly and the Manly colours and Queensland because they are very similar, right?
yeah.
Okay, that's number one. And number two, um, I am frustrated that my team, Manly, right? Okay, the team I want to win, every year we
Yeah.
lost players to a competition that I cared less about, you know,
Hmm.
was the
Yep.
and that still exists today, and it's still
Yeah.
happening today. And for example, Manly lost on the weekend, and
Yeah.
we did not have Cherry Evans. Okay, doesn't that annoy you, Drew? Honestly, who do you care more about, Manly or Queensland?
Look, I actually
Answer
care.
the question. Who do
No,
you care more
I'm
about,
gonna answer it
Manly or Queensland?
manly, but I will
So,
preface
so
it
are
by
you
saying this.
happy? No, are you happy that every year your star player, or it's usually more, gets taken out of Manly and has to, and likely will play another team that hasn't had a star player taken out? It's Name another sport, Wenton, name another sport where this happens. It is ludicrous. It is
What's it
crazy.
called?
It's crazy that we pull out all these amazing best players and the teams that are affected the most, Wenton, okay? The teams that are affected the most are the teams with the most amount of players, the best players in there, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
It's just
I'm
crazy.
with you.
It doesn't happen in any other sport that exists. Doesn't
But you
happen.
know what? Every other side kind of gets their share of having other players there. So it is shared among other teams. Like, for instance, on the weekend, I'm not going to say Manly were at a disadvantage because we won't. We weren't because Parramatta were missing both Moses and Lomax. We're only missing Cherry Evans, but I get your point. But my other point is this. What are you going to do about Origin? What's the answer? Do you schedule it some other place, some other time where it doesn't affect it?
Well, let's
What do you
talk
do?
about that.
What's the solution?
I'll tell you the solution. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
My solution.
Jules,
Yep.
Jules, just a second.
Yeah.
You tell me what you tell me. I want you tell me what's the best solution.
I will. Now, if you asked me this question a few years ago, I would have said to you and you, I would have said you have state of origin after the grand final.
That's exactly what we said. That's exactly what we said the other day on, I think it was last Thursday we said that as I was coming home from work.
Yep. But
Yeah, look,
that hasn't worked because remember, Wenton, that happened in COVID in 2021 or something, and it was a flop.
yeah, I don't like the idea at all. I tell you why, because the winners, the premiers, go on Mad Mondays, so they've probably got half a breezer hanging out of their mouth or a beer, and then they've got glitter on their bloody jersey from celebrating their grand final win. You've got a whole heap of players that have been out for the best part of a month because their team didn't make the semi-finals. Then you got teams whereby they got eliminated in the first round of the semis, so they haven't been playing for 3 or 4 weeks there. So it's just like
I agree.
they're not in the pomp and the peak of their actual
I
ability
agree.
where
Yeah,
their
'cause
momentum carries them to great
I agree.
performance.
I agree because the teams that have played finals, players
Guys,
get
guys.
more.
Where would you put state of origin then?
Well,
If
I'll
it's
tell
going
you where they
to
do it
if it's going to affect the the premiership, where would you put it?
right now, Wenton, right now. You put it right now, but really, do we have to have 3 games spread over 3 weeks? What, tell me why we have to do that. And
Yeah, I don't know.
tell me why it has to be on a Wednesday. Because do you know what? Wednesday sucks. Okay? I'm sick of
Yeah,
Wednesdays. If I had it my way, would have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There'd be no Wednesdays. I'm sick of Wednesdays. I am absolutely sick of that day. And
yeah.
how they keep putting sport, particularly boxing, on a Wednesday really grinds my gears and makes me really frustrated. So there you go. I say have it on a Saturday and have, it over 3 weeks, Saturday, Saturday, Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And during that time, we can showcase all these other events, such as women's rugby league, you know?
So would you have any other round games during that time or no
No,
games whatsoever?
no,
No,
no.
okay.
Everybody gets a holiday. Everybody
Yeah.
gets a train, and maybe some country versus city. Remember, we used to have that, you know?
Yeah, look, I know that there'll be people who will complain about a shorter off season and maybe the heat. If you did that, you might have to start the competition a month early, say early February, but I could possibly live with that. I
Yeah.
know I don't have to play and suffer through the heat, but guess what? These players are getting paid an absolute mozza, and they're not scratching around for their last dollar behind the couch, let me tell you.
Yeah. So you start it 3 weeks earlier. They get
Yeah.
most of them get a 3 week break right in the middle. It'd do wonders for rugby league.
Yeah.
It really would.
Yep.
And you have your other teams in there. You can have the All Stars team game in there. You can have you know, Australia versus, New Zealand. You can have a women's,
Yep.
and just all this other crap in there with the beacon of entertainment,
Yes.
state of origin.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
But it's not going to
So
happen. It's not going to happen.
no,
It's not
no.
going to.
But look, it'll be a good series.
Yeah.
If I was to say my biggest gripe about the series, not only are the annoying Queensland supporters who think that they actually have some mythical spirit that doesn't exist. They're nothing like the Queensland spirit. You haven't heard that very
Oh,
often,
that's it,
have I?
huh?
Listen, if the roles were reversed from last year and Queensland had won the last game in New South Wales, the decider, everybody would be hearing it left, right, and centre. It would be shoved up our nostrils, in our ear canals, and up our arseholes 24 fucking 7. But New South Wales do that last year. Radio silence.
Radio
Because they've got
silence.
to keep the myth of the Queensland spirit, the invisible Queensland spirit, alive.
Yeah.
Look,
Well,
look at you, you're in maroon. Look at you.
yeah, because I've,
Mate,
I've I've drank the Kool-Aid, Wenton. I believe there is a Queensland spirit, and I believe that Queenslanders have, I honestly believe that they're generally stupid people, Queenslanders, but they have this thing called a spirit and a brotherhood. And because they have this invisible spirit, they're better at rugby league once a year.
yes,
Uh,
Queenslanders are actually the second most stupid race of people.
Oh,
The most stupid race of people are the New South Wales people who support Queensland because they either grew up when Queensland were winning 8 in a row.
yeah.
They said, "Oh, I like to watch Billy Slater or Darren Lockyer when I was young, so that's why I go for Queensland." Or they say they used to go on holidays to Queensland, or they
Yeah.
had relatives for Queensland.
I still go on holidays to Queensland. I still
These
go
kind
there.
of, you know what? These kind of people are like these kind of flogs that go on the internet, on the ancestry.com and go, well, I'm a quarter Puerto Rican with an eighth Mexican and a ninth Spanish. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You're an Aussie. You've got an Aussie accent. You were born here. Stop trying to be something more or less than what you are. You are what you are. I know you don't think it's sexy, but embrace it.
Wenton, yes or no?
you're,
Yes or no? Is Queensland the best holiday destination in Australia?
well, like Lara Bingle said, where the bloody hell are you?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
it is.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
They've got that dirty big lake running through the middle of it.
There's
And
the brown
Brisbane
snake.
is
Yeah, the brown snake.
Brisbane is meant the big brown snake. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a big
I
brown
mean,
snake. Yeah.
Brisbane's meant to be a city, but let's be honest, it's basically just Chatswood near the beach, to
Yeah.
be
Well,
honest.
it's not even near the
How-
beach. It's not even
Yeah,
near the beach.
not even, but it's a glorified Chatswood. So
Yeah.
let's not get too carried away with Queensland
Yeah.
and Brisbane. And guess what? When it floods there, who do they rely on to bail them out? The mighty New South Welshmen. Thank you very much.
They got spirit though. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay.
Apparently.
Anything else to say about, because we got the 10 minutes warning a minute ago. So 10 minutes. So it's about 6 minutes because now I don't have those four fingers there.
Uh,
Um,
no, not really.
Wenton,
What do you
anything
want?
else moving on from state of origin?
Okay, maybe I can do on this day.
Okay, on
Okay.
this day. On this day.
On this day was what?
On this day in 1965, Muhammad Ali beat Sonny Liston in the second round of their second fight. Now, back in the day, Mr. Sonny Liston was known as a gruff, tough ferocious fighter before the likes of George Foreman and Mike Tyson came along. But the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, knocked him over in the second round. There's a bit of controversy about this fight because the punch didn't look as though it could knock the skin off a grape, and Sonny Liston was affiliated with the mob and gambling. But if you want to look at further details and information about such a fight, there are such documentaries on it. Also, on this day in
Hang
1935,
on.
they say,
So were you saying because he was affiliated with the mob, you're insinuating it was rigged? He went
lots
down.
of people are. It's a fight in time whereby it's divided amongst people. Some say it was a legitimate punch and knockdown. Others say not so much. Just depends on what side you sit on, what research you've done, what you actually believe.
And whether you were the one getting punched, you know what I mean?
Correct. Easy for everyone else to have an opinion.
Easy just to say, yeah, I'd be fine if I did that, you know? Like I can stick my hand in a lawnmower, it's not gonna hurt, you know, like like
And we're all experts. We're all telling these sports
all
people how they
excellent.
do their job. And we don't have a fucking clue. It's just a casual mouthpiece.
Okay, all right. On this day, and there's another on this day, Wenton. Listen to this one. They usually
There was another on this day in 1935, largely regarded as the greatest 45 minutes in sports history,
wow.
whereby athlete Jesse Owens broke 4 world records in 45 minutes.
What were they?
I'm not as interested in athletics to actually do my research that far into the on this day. I will put up my hand for that one.
Come on, it's only
If
9
I've lived on
years
this
ago, mate.
earth long enough, it's like, don't bullshit if you don't have the facts behind you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Wenton, were you around in 1935?
No, I was not around in 1935.
All right, okay. Well, we can't ask you then.
But I have got a
Well,
breaking scoop. Wenton was around in 2025 and he's here now.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Now.
right.
Yeah.
Now, what about the week?
Yeah,
What
do you want
about
to talk about last week's games quickly and then tips or just tips or what do you want to do?
what are haven't there been a lot of hasn't there been a lot of
Upsets.
There've been a
upsets?
few,
Upsets. Yep.
there've been a few upsets. Like, I think the only real one this weekend was the Roosters versus the Sharks because the Sharks were unchanged with their lineup,
Yep.
whereby the Roosters had a few in origin and injured and suspension. I'll just quickly go through the scores this weekend. The Dolphins 44 beat the Dogs 8. Can't read
Upset.
too much into that. The Dogs had origin players in
Whatever.
their
It was an upset.
injuries,
Up-
whatnot, but it wasn't upset.
Okay. Call it an upset. It was. Okay.
Yeah, and they probably didn't expect to get smashed by that much either.
Yeah.
The second one, the Eels 30 beat the Sea Eagles 10.
Upset.
Yes.
Upset. So here we go. This is the third upset you've agreed with me so far. Okay. All right. Okay.
And not happy with that one because
Jules, I'm not crying.
Yeah. Listen to this. He's about to say agree to an upset again. Come on, Drew. Keep it coming. Come on.
yeah, because Manly weren't at any disadvantage because the Eels were missing Moses and Lomax. We were only missing
Mate, it was an
DCE.
upset. Move on.
Yeah,
We
it's
don't need to talk about the Manly loss. Next one. Come on.
disappointing. Knights 25 beat the Panthers 6.
Upset. Upset. You just said that there was only one upset. Now
But
you
these-
agree every game was an upset.
But are there? Are they? There's context. There's
Yeah.
players out due to injury and origin.
Context or no context, an upset is an upset. That's what it is. I don't write the rules, mate. I don't write the dictionary. I didn't write the dictionary.
Is it an upset when it's not an upset? If
Hey,
a tree falls in a forest and you're not there, does it really fall?
course
Anyway,
not.
Roosters 42, Sharks
You've
16.
already said upset for that one. And last game,
Here's another one.
This wasn't an upset. This was an even money bet as far as I was concerned. Raiders
10
16, Warriors 10. You can't call that an upset. That's a 50-50 pick 'em.
Okay, look, let's go to tips for next week, and we're
Okay.
going to hear Wenton. Wenton, next Friday.
Yeah.
Well, actually, New South Wales, Queensland. Who's going to win, Wenton? You already said, didn't you?
Well, I live in the States, so it's got to be NSW.
Okay, next one, Friday night. Dragons at home play the Knights. Both
Uh,
teams.
I'm going the Dragons.
All right. Saturday, 5 o'clock, up in the Gold Coast, 5:30. Titans play the mighty Storm.
Well, I don't think the Titans won't come back. I think Melbourne will do that.
Okay. A bit later in that day, Townsville Cowboys playing the Tigers.
North Queensland Cowboys.
Yep, I think you're right there. That's my upset of this weekend, Andrew.
Yep.
And Mighty Manly play the Broncos at Four Pines Park on Saturday night at 7:30.
That one you just said is at 5:30.
Yeah, I did 5:30. That's Cowboys West. But now Manly playing the Broncos at 7:30 in Manly, Four Pines.
Oh, we've got to bounce back.
Yeah, good.
We can't keep losing. So I'm sticking with Manly.
And Sunday, 2 o'clock, Bunnies in Bunnies home against the Warriors.
Oh,
That'd be close.
well, I'm going to have to go with.
You got to pick one of them. Christmas is coming.
No,
Yeah,
like it.
I can hear the sleigh.
I like it. It's
I'm going to tip the Warriors because I like Luke Metcalf.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay, I can't wait for this game. Seriously,
Yep.
this is going to be the
That'd
next.
be good.
No, this one I'm about to say, Drewy. This one.
Yeah.
How's
What's
this?
the
Panthers.
channel?
Listen,
Oh,
Quentin.
Panthers.
Parramatta.
Yep. Panthers versus Parramatta. Who's your money on?
Oh,
Oh,
I might say Parramatta.
Yeah, me too. We got to go for Para. Come on.
Let's
Panthers.
face it, Panthers are coming last.
They're coming
Yeah,
up.
that's true.
It's so good. That's great.
Parramatta.
Yeah,
And-
go Parramatta, eh?
And is that all the games?
No, there's one more. Actually, there's another one I'm going to ask Wenton too. Roosters versus Raiders. Quickly, Wenton.
No. I think I'll have to go. Where are they playing?
Not less than a minute.
Roosters home.
Roosters.